What is going on, guys? We are back with another video today, and it is very exciting. It is a great day because I am no longer in Wisconsin. I'm in the great walleye fishing state of Minnesota, and I am on the infamous Mille Lacs lake today. And it is not too windy out. Running's not going to be too bad. Maybe a 2-foot chop out here. And yeah, it's exciting. I love coming to Mille Lacs, generally because there's a whole bunch of different ways you can catch fish and a whole bunch of different locations. You got the deep mud flats or these super deep sand flats. You got like sand to gravel transitions that run for miles. You got deep rock, a ton of structure and a ton of different stuff to fish. And sometimes if there's wind, you can even find those fish up shallow a little bit in the summer. So I have not spent a lot of time out here in the middle of summer. I spent a fair amount of time here, definitely in the spring and those first couple months of the season, but not a lot this time of year. But one thing pretty much stays the same. When you come to one of these big natural lakes in the middle of summer, or really any lake in the middle of summer, and you're targeting walleyes, and you have those midsummer water temps, 75, you know, right in there, which is what we're at today, 74. One thing pretty much stays the same. If you find a very big piece of structure in that 20 to 30 foot range, it's probably got fish on it, surrounded by a lot of basin. And that's kind of what we're gonna do. We're gonna make about a 3-mile run here, and we're gonna fish one of these bigger offshore reefs that's not connected to the shoreline. It's got a lot of deep water around it, a lot of intricate in and out type stuff. And a big reef on like a 1,000 or 5,000 acre lake might be 100 yards or so. A big reef out here is like mile long. So big difference, a lot of water to cover, a lot of fishing opportunity, and yeah, that's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna buzz out here and make a little run, and we'll catch back up with you and hopefully find some fish. All right, so we've been zigging and zagging around a couple of different corners and stuff for maybe, I don't know, 45 minutes here. And what we're finding is some fish, not like super big concentrations of fish, which we hopefully eventually find, but enough fish to definitely fish for. So basically, when I talk about like fishing the tails or the corners of a lot of these big flats or reefs, we're actually on a big rock gravel flat right now. It's something like this. Anywhere where this reef kind of tails out like this, these corners are the points of it. And that's what we're looking at right now. And you can, I'll show you my graph here in a second, but basically it's really big like rock. And that's exactly what we like to see. And kind of right where it falls out is where we're seeing fish. We're already seeing a few fish here, but not like really the deal here. And in a second here, I'll kind of flip it over and show you guys the fish. But the zones kind of seems to be 20 feet and out. So if you look right here on the graph, you got a couple fish right there. You can see them, one right there, a couple right here. I'll go ahead and take a screenshot. And that's one of the reasons it's so important to run down imaging and sonar at the same time. Now I'm fishing really big rock. Side imaging would be good for showing me the rock, but it would be less good for finding fish in the rock. And kind of from that 20-foot zone going out is kind of where I'm seeing a few more fish. So there's actually another fish right there. There's actually 2 fish right there. I'll go ahead and take a screenshot. But anywhere where it falls out real quick like this, there seems to be fish either on the top or on the base of it. And my guess is some of these fish are gonna be smallmouth, but since a lot of these little corners and dips and valleys and stuff are in a real close proximity, I won't have to troll. And I already have a Lindy rig tied up from filming yesterday. So that's probably what we're gonna do. We're probably gonna get some crawlers out and just drag through some of these sweet spots, and we'll see what happens. All right, first bite of the trip. And there we go. I don't know if we got walleye or smallmouth here. I think we got a big bass, but I'm not sure. Mille Lacs is also just a phenomenal destination for big smallies, which I believe is what we got here. Yep, nice smallmouth bass. But we'll take it. I needed a change of scenery in a real bad way. There we go. It's a nice feisty smallie. Just rigging a crawler. Come here, buddy. They are just always so healthy out here. There we go. Got to start somewhere. We'll let them go. All right, bite number 2. Where you at, buddy? Well, that's heavy. That's real heavy. What do we have on here? This is a walleye, it's big. This is a smallmouth, it's also probably big. I don't know, we might be on a big pot of smallies here. Super fun though. Hayward's got some good smallies, but they can get finicky in the middle of summer. And anywhere with a shot with really big smallmouth like Mille Lacs, I will not complain about catching bass. Oh no, it is a nice walleye. He just rolled up in the Lindy rig. Nice. I was thrown off by the big run. Well, first walleye bite of the day here. Come here, buddy. There we go. That's a nice Mille Lacs walleye. And you can't keep any fish this time of year, which is perfectly fine. I'm not keeping walleyes anyways, but I'll bet that would be your 21.5-inch eater right there. There we go, Mille Lacs walleye, number 1 of the trip. He's probably about a 20.5-incher. We're gonna let him go right away. Just because he's bleeding a little bit, but he'll be just fine. See you later, buddy. All right, just got picked up. Feed him a little line. Tighten up on him. And I forgot to tighten my drag, but that's all right, we got him on. I think we probably got a walleye on here. Yeah, little scrapper Mille Lacs walleye. Little boat flipper. But there we go. Summer can really be pretty easy as far as finding fish. Catching fish, it can sometimes be more difficult, but like I was saying when we kind of got out here, all you do on a lot of these big lakes is just drive to kind of the biggest deep rock bar, and you can kind of look at the basin a lot of times. You know, a lot of these spots are going to use about a 15-incher. You can kind of drive out to a lot of these, like, you know, 20 to 30 foot biggest deep water flats or reefs in the lake, and pretty much anywhere you go, that pattern is going to be the same, where fish will use those kind of spots, you know, in the middle of summer. So all I'm really doing here is the way I'm working around this piece of structure is obviously I'm kind of cruising around looking for fish. I might stop, catch a few fish, and then kind of move on. But basically all I'm doing is, like, if we had a big reef, something that looks like this right here, and all I'm doing is fishing a lot of these corners and knobs, kind of like I talked about in the beginning of this video. So I might start here, catch a fish, might go over here, might not mark any fish, might go to over here, might catch a couple more fish, and you can kind of see how you can quickly kind of get on the sweet spots like this. And if these spots have big rock and a real quick dip, it goes from, if it goes from like 20 to 28 real fast, or if it goes from like 18 to 24 really quick, it seems like all those fish are either positioned right at the top, which is right behind my boat right now, or just off that edge, which is about 20 feet behind my boat. So I'm kind of casting out towards deeper water right now, working it back up on top of this. But as far as where I'm fishing, this is a lot of times on big water how you can kind of break down a lot of these sweet spots and find fish a lot quicker versus just driving the whole thing to kind of stumble along these spots, right? Is there a lot of fish I'm not fishing for in this reef? Absolutely. But this is just kind of one way you can pick and choose where you're gonna fish and have a little bit more likelihood you're gonna be around them when you do start fishing. Fish on. Ooh, feels good. I like that. I actually switched up and went to the little old slip bobber because I was making a sandwich on a spot I just found some fish on. Look at that. Had to make a couple of phone calls, and yeah, nice fish on here. Mille Lacs is a fun place to fish, and I can tell you right now that I am not on like the mother lode sweet spot, you know. You do this enough and you can kind of tell when you're just like picking up the scraps and when you're like really on the stuff. We haven't been fishing for very long this afternoon, but yeah, I guess I'm just not catching a ton of fish, which is all right, but we are catching a few fish and putting it together. I'm just kind of working around this big reef, and if I see a pot of fish, or, oh, he's an angry one, or a couple of fish here and there, basically I'll just stop and either drag that Lindy around, or in this case, make a sandwich, drop a slip bobber on them. There we go. A nice northern Minnesota walleye. Let's let that guy go. Too cool. See you later, buddy. There's a fish. That one hit on a jig, actually. This is a walleye. It's good. Look at that. We're just in deadlock right now. Basically, all I'm doing is just fishing a crawler a whole bunch of different ways. Now caught him Lindy rigging. Caught him on slip bobbers. And now I'm fishing it on a jig. I don't know. This might not be a walleye. I got a feeling we got a big brown bass on. Yeah, real big pudgy smallmouth. Those are the ones that Mille Lacs is now extremely known for. That is a big fat beast of a smallmouth. He can hardly jump. This is definitely probably one of the bigger smallmouth I've caught this year. Look at that thing. Just a slob, and he's just barely hooked. I feel like I'm gonna lose him right here. No. Got him. That thing is an absolute toad. I actually caught a couple of short walleyes on just that little Google eye and a crawler. Look at that thing. That thing is a Mille Lacs monster right there. That is an impressive fish. I guarantee that thing's about 21, but just thick, heavy. That thing is absolutely probably 5.5 pounds. Look at that thing. We're gonna let him go. See you later, buddy. Next cast, fish on. This is feeling a little bit more walleye-ish, but I don't know. If it's a walleye, it's a good one. We might be just on a pile of big smallmouth now. No, it's a nice walleye. Definitely probably the longest walleye of the day. That little Google Eye jig, 1/4 ounce. And I'll kind of explain where I'm fishing here. Come here, bud. Oh, there we go. And a crawler. I know it's not the most incredibly exciting ways to fish, jigging a crawler, but it is incredibly effective. You know, I just anchored here, and right away caught that just tank smallmouth. Actually, I caught a couple of small walleyes and caught that tank smallmouth, and now we got this one. Beautiful fish, probably about a 22, right in there incher. We'll let him go. Catching them. We're on a good pot of fish back there. So all I'm fishing here is just a 1/4 ounce Google Eye in gold. And a lot of guys want to use that live bait jig. And you know, the one advantage of these, they got a real loud knocker. You can probably even almost pick it up on GoPro in there. But I do not like running live bait jigs for fishing crawlers on a jig. And these Google Eyes are perfect because they got that little wire keeper. And they hold a crawler super well. Now, I am fishing for fish that are probably pretty large, at least hopefully pretty large, so I am running a whole crawler on here. But all I'm doing is threading it on just like you'd thread on like a plastic, right? And without this wire keeper, that crawler slides down pretty much on the cast. You kind of force it up over, and you can see just how natural that thing looks on there. It's not sliding down, and you can even take and tug on this, and it does not move off that wire keeper. So it's a super good jig head for doing that. And whenever I'm fishing crawlers, I kind of like fishing light jigs. So I'm actually pitching back to like 26 feet of water and working it up a break here. But I like fishing light because it gets that thing real wispy, and I already know where the fish are, so I'm not trying to find them with the cast. I'm just pitching real short range. All right, well, that is gonna wrap up this quick afternoon, evening Mille Lacs video. Nothing super exciting, but this is my first time pretty much spending any amount of time out here in the middle of summer, and to say the least, I have to move around and definitely do something different tomorrow. I covered a lot of deep gravel and rock looking stuff today. Obviously caught some walleyes, caught some smallmouth, but I drove around a lot of stuff and found a lot of dead water. And making adjustments on a big body of water is definitely the name of the game, especially if you're not seeing fish. So that's kind of the plan. Obviously we caught some fish. The smallmouth kind of stole the show more than anything, but yeah, the plan is tomorrow to do the mud flat thing. I spent a lot of time out there in the winter, which probably won't help me very much for how it's gonna be right now. But my guess is it's gonna be either lead coring cranks, small cranks probably on lead core. It might be spinner rigging, or it might be like hyper rattling, or maybe a different form of live bait fishing, depending how the fish are set up. I really have no idea, but that's the plan for tomorrow. And yeah, stay tuned. Let's get it done tomorrow. I appreciate you guys watching. If you're not yet, please subscribe. And I got a little run to make back to the resort here for the night. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the morning.